My sister's last will. My sister had died. Her body had long been buried. But one day, I received a message from her. It said only 3 things. 1, never wear red clothes. 2, Mom will prepare your meals, but if you bite into teeth, nails, or hair, don't tell her. 3, be home before 10 o'clock. Once you're home, go straight to bed. I knew something was wrong. My sister was dead. Her phone had been buried with her. I had watched the coffin being lowered myself. No, but the message was real. It was there, on my screen. My heart pounded. I went to the living room. Dad was watching TV. "Dad," I asked, "after my sister died, did anyone dig up her grave?" He looked at me, confused. "What the hell are you talking about? I got a text from her number. Let me see it." Before I could react, he snatched the phone from my hands. His eyes scanned the message. Then he smiled. "Probably just some scam. Forget it." I froze. "Forget it?" I repeated. "Yeah," he said again. "Forget it. Forget it." He kept repeating it, over and over. "Forget it. Forget it. Forget it." Then he stood up, picked up a fork from the table, and stabbed it into his own throat. Blood sprayed across the floor. His body hit the ground. "Mom, what happened?" My mother stepped out from the kitchen, but the moment I saw her, my eyes widened in horror. She was wearing a red shirt. Mom hated the color red. She never allowed anything red inside the house. Never wear red clothes. My sister's message echoed in my mind. I couldn't move. I just stood there, frozen, watching my mother. She walked up to me and asked calmly, "How did your father die?" Her voice was flat, emotionless, as if the man who had just died, her husband, meant nothing to her. I don't know," I stammered. "He called me for dinner, and then he just stabbed himself." She nodded, didn't say another word. She turned and walked back into the kitchen. I stood there shaking. Then I heard her say, "Call the police." She didn't sound scared. She didn't sound sad, just bored. I picked up the phone with trembling fingers. An hour later, the police arrived, but the men who came weren't wearing uniforms. They wore long red robes, and their faces were pale, expressionless. Mom told them Dad had taken his own life from depression due to overwork. But I knew that was a lie. Dad had never once talked about work stress. He was a cheerful man. Even that morning, he said he'd take me and my sister to the amusement park this weekend. One of the red-robed men pulled out a notebook. "What's your name?" he asked me. "Quinn," I whispered. "And what happened?" I hesitated. My lips were dry. I wanted to tell him the truth, that it wasn't suicide, that my dad smiled like a robot, then stabbed himself. But then, the man's head twitched. Slowly, unnaturally, he turned to face me and smiled. That smile, it was exactly like Dad's, wide, empty, not human. His voice was a hiss. "You know something, don't you?" I clenched my teeth and lied. The officer stopped asking questions. He turned and went back to writing in his notebook. The men in red robes zipped Dad's body into a black bag and carried him away. But the way they carried him, it wasn't right. They weren't lifting him. They were dragging him, like he wasn't even a person, just some heavy trash to dispose of. When they reached the corner of the stairwell, I saw something that made me want to throw up. From beneath one of their long red robes, a slimy tail was dragging behind him. I held my breath. My entire body trembled. Ever since I received that strange message, everything had started to change. "Dinner's ready," Mom said softly. "Go set the table." Through the gap in the kitchen door, I could see her hands, chopping meat, raising the cleaver, slamming it down, again and again. The meat didn't look like pork. It was grayish, thin, almost like it had been preserved for decades. The sound of the knife striking the board echoed through the house. I covered my ears. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my umbrella and ran outside. It was raining, but no thunder, no lightning, just a steady, heavy drizzle. The street was dim. Streetlights flickered. The neighbors were all still going about their routines, watering plants, walking dogs, skipping rope. But they all had one thing in common. Every single one of them was wearing red. As I passed each house, I could feel it. Their heads didn't move, but their eyes followed me. The old lady with the watering can, the man walking his dog, the little girl jumping rope, all of them were staring. Then I saw her, a little girl crouched on the ground drawing hopscotch boxes with chalk. She was facing away from me, but her head, it was twisted around 180 degrees. Her body faced forward, but her face was staring directly at me. "Big sis, what are you doing?" A small, innocent voice called from behind me. I turned. It was my little sister. She wore a doll-shaped backpack. 2 long braids bounced as she ran toward me. "It's already dark. Why aren't you home yet?" I stared at her, relieved. She wasn't wearing red. She looked normal. Dad was dead. Mom was strange. But my little sister was still okay? I noticed something odd. There was dirt on her shoes. Muddy dirt. Like she'd been walking somewhere she shouldn't. And there was blood. Faint. But there. On her collar. I wanted to ask, but she spoke first. "Dad saw the message, didn't he?" That question chilled me to the bone. "How do you know about the message?" I asked. She raised her wrist. Her smartwatch screen lit up. The same message I got. When you get the message, you have to follow the rules. If you don't, then you die. She looked so small, so scared. It broke my heart. But there wasn't time. "What time is it?" I asked quickly. She checked her watch. 9:59. My blood ran cold. "Run!" I screamed. I grabbed her hand and pulled. We lived on the 3rd floor. If we ran fast enough, we could make it. We reached the 2nd floor landing. That's when I felt it. My legs, they were getting heavier, like I was dragging something. "Why are you so heavy?" I gasped. I looked back and saw something that made my stomach twist. The doll backpack. It had changed. Its face was covered in blood. "What's wrong?" she asked me. I didn't answer. I turned and kept running. I didn't want to see more. But then, she screamed. I looked back again. The doll had come to life. Its mouth was clamped onto her shoulder. It was biting her. "It hurts," she cried. She pulled her arm away from me, sitting down on the steps, holding her shoulder. "Run, big sis. Just leave me." "No," I shouted. "If we don't get home now, we'll both die." "But it hurts. I can't move." Tears were running down her face. I looked up. The 3rd floor was close. We just had to get there. And then, she shoved me. I stumbled. My hand scraped against the wall. Pain shot through my palm, warm and wet. I was bleeding. I grabbed her and pulled. We climbed. Just before we reached the door, I saw something else. There was a woman standing there, barefoot, pale legs, wearing a long red dress. She didn't move. She just stood in front of our apartment. I didn't care anymore. I ran straight toward her, dragging my sister behind me. The lights in the apartment flicked on. Warm yellow light. Mom was there, smiling faintly, still wearing red. She held a plate. "Dinner is ready," she said softly. I didn't say a word. I pulled my sister into the bedroom. We collapsed onto the bed, our hearts pounding, hands shaking. We were home. We had made it. I looked at the clock, 10 sharp. But we were in bed. We followed the rule. I held her hand. I could feel her trembling. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Me too," I said. "But we did it. We followed the rules. We're safe now." I stared at the ceiling, trying to calm my breath. My sister was next to me, still trembling, but alive. We made it. We got home before 10. We went straight to bed. We followed the rules. Everything would be okay now, or so I thought. "Big sis." My sister's voice broke the silence. I looked at her quickly and whispered, "Shh." She went quiet. I picked up my phone. The message was still there, from my dead sister, with the 3 rules. I read it again. Just to make sure. Don't wear red. Don't tell Mom if there's anything strange in the food. Be home before 10. Once home, go to bed. We had done it. We were safe. Then I heard a sound. A faint, wet, chewing noise. Crack, gulp, crunch. It was coming from outside the room. I knew that sound. It was the sound Mom made when she ate chicken feet, breaking the bones, sucking the marrow. But this time, it was louder, wetter, closer. I didn't want to know what she was chewing. I didn't want to know what kind of meat that sound came from. I held my sister's hand tighter. She whispered again, "Big sis, my watch. It's an hour slow." My heart dropped. "What?" Her voice trembled. "My watch is broken. It's always been an hour behind." No. That meant we didn't make it on time. We got home at 10:59. We broke the rule. I froze. My sister's watch, it was broken. She had always told me that, but I never paid attention, which meant we hadn't come home before 10. We were late. We broke the rule. And now, I looked at my sister. She was holding my hand, breathing softly, still safe, still alive. Or so I thought. I blinked, and suddenly, her hand felt wrong. Too soft, too warm, too squishy, like a glove filled with jelly. I turned to look at her. She was lying still beside me, eyes closed. Her skin was pale, her lips were gray. I touched her cheek. It sank under my finger, like there were no bones underneath. I sat up, pulled back the blanket, and screamed. Her entire body, it had gone flat, collapsed, like someone had removed her skeleton. Her arms, her legs, her chest, everything looked like a deflated balloon. Her face had melted, her mouth hung open, her eyes were just holes, empty sockets. The skin around her lips cracked and bled, her jaw twitched, and then, pop, her head burst. Blood splattered across the sheets. Something wet and heavy hit my face. I blacked out. When I woke up, my sister's body was gone. No blood, no mess, no smell. The bed was clean, spotless, as if nothing had happened. Even the headboard, where her brain had splattered, was clean. I blinked. Was it a dream? No. I looked down at my hand. There was still a cut from when she pushed me on the stairs, fresh, still bleeding, which meant it had happened. She died, but someone had cleaned everything up. Or something. I stood up, opened the door. Mom was sitting in the kitchen, chopping vegetables, as if nothing had happened. I stared at her, waiting for her to say something. But she didn't. She just kept chopping, like she was stuck on repeat. I walked to the sink, turned on the faucet. Water flowed over my hands. I looked at my palm again. The cut was deep. That didn't make sense. If I had passed out for a long time, like I thought, the wound should have clotted, but it hadn't. Which meant I had only been unconscious for a short time. So how did the room get cleaned? Where was my sister? What happened to her body? Quinn, Mom's voice called from behind me. I turned around. She was standing in the kitchen doorway, still holding the cleaver. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her lips were red. Too red. Almost unnatural. She smiled at me. "Are you hungry?" she asked. My mouth went dry. I shook my head, but she stepped closer. "You must be hungry," she said. "You haven't eaten anything since yesterday." She reached for my hand. I stepped back. "No, I'm fine," I said quickly. Her smile widened. "It's your favorite," she whispered. "Sweet taro." She held out a bowl. Inside were soft purple cubes, steaming gently. It looked normal, smelled good even. But I didn't trust her. Not anymore. Not after what happened to Dad or my sister. Still, I didn't want to make her angry. So I took the bowl, held the spoon, lifted a piece to my mouth. I chewed slowly. It tasted sweet, but there was something wrong, something stringy, something rough. I reached into my mouth and pulled out a long strand of hair. I froze. A hair. There was a long black hair in the food, not just one. I picked through the bowl. There were more, tangled deep between the taro pieces. I fought the urge to gag. Rule number 2, Mom will prepare your meals, but if you bite into teeth, nails, or hair, don't tell her. I looked up. Mom was still watching me. Her smile hadn't changed, still soft, still calm, like she was waiting for something. I felt sweat on my back. My hands trembled. "I'm full," I said. I forced a smile. "Thank you, Mom." Her eyes narrowed. "You didn't finish it." "It was sweet," I said quickly. "Delicious. But I ate too much last night, I think." I was trying to lie, trying not to break the rule. Her face didn't move. For a long time, she just stared. Then she turned, walked back into the kitchen. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. I stood there for a long time, still holding the spoon, still staring at the half-eaten bowl of taro. The hair was still there, but I didn't dare pick it out again, because Mom might be watching, because the house might be watching. I turned slowly, walked to the living room, sat on the couch. I tried to breathe normally, act normal, don't do anything that breaks the rules. And yet, everything felt off. The air felt thicker, heavier, like something was waiting for me to slip up. I glanced at the clock, 10:12 a.m. Still early, too early. I didn't know what to do next. Then Mom's voice came again. "Come eat," she said. "I made your favorite." I turned my head slowly. She was standing in the kitchen doorway, holding another plate, more food, something pink, wet, dripping. She smiled. "Just one bite," she said. I didn't move. She stepped forward, and then something behind her moved. Fast, too fast. I blinked. But whatever it was gone. "Just one bite," Mom repeated. I didn't move. She stepped closer, held out the plate. The meat on it wasn't cooked. It was raw, pink, bloody, and it looked like a piece of a human hand. I took a step back. She smiled wider. "Don't be shy," she said. I shook my head. "No, I'm really not hungry." She took another step forward. I backed away again. My heel hit the leg of the table. I almost fell. Then she lunged. Fast. Too fast. She shoved the meat at my mouth. I screamed, "Stop!" I slapped the plate away. It hit the floor, shattered. The meat slid across the tiles. Mom froze. Her smile vanished. She looked down. Then, back at me. Her face, it began to melt. Her skin drooped like wax. Her eyes rolled upward. Her mouth fell open. And she said, "You broke the rule." Her voice echoed through the house. "You broke the rule." I backed away, terrified. "No, I didn't mean to." Mom stepped forward, but her movements weren't human anymore. Her arms dangled, her head tilted. She moved like a puppet, cut from its strings. "Don't lie," she whispered. "You were supposed to eat it." Her voice was wrong. It was flat, robotic, like a broken recorder. "You were supposed to eat it. You were supposed to eat it. You were supposed to—" "Stop!" I screamed. She did, mid-step, frozen. Then her head twitched, crack. Her neck snapped sideways. Her head hung at an angle, face staring at the ceiling. And then she charged. No hesitation, no scream, just movement. I ran, bolted to the front door, fumbled with the lock. Her footsteps pounded behind me. Too fast, she was right behind me. I yanked the door open, and everything went black. When I woke up, I was lying on the couch. The house was clean, silent, no sign of blood, no broken plates, no meat on the floor. Everything was normal. I sat up slowly. The clock on the wall read 9 a.m. I touched my throat. There was no pain. My heart was still racing, but my body was okay. Had it all been a dream? No, because the scar on my hand from falling on the stairs was still there, still fresh, still bleeding. This wasn't a dream, but the house had reset, just like after Dad died, just like after my sister died. No blood, no mess, no bodies, only silence. And then, knock, knock, knock. Someone at the door. I didn't want to open it. I was too afraid. But I had to know. I peeked through the peephole. 2 men, tall, pale, wearing red. Their faces were blank, no emotion, no expression. They just stood there, waiting. The red-robed men didn't knock again. They just waited, staring straight ahead. After a while, I backed away from the door, sat down on the floor. I didn't open it. I was too scared, too tired. I didn't know what they wanted. Eventually, they left, but they didn't walk away. They just vanished, like shadows fading into the wall. After that, nothing happened for a while. The house stayed quiet. I wandered from room to room. Everything was normal. Too normal. No sign of Dad, or my sister, or Mom. It was as if they'd never lived here. No photos, no clothes, no toothbrushes. Even their slippers were gone. The only proof I had that anything had happened was the message. Still on my phone, still there, with those 3 rules. Rules that had cost me everything. And then the phone buzzed. A new message from the same number. I opened it. It said, "You passed the test. Prepare for the next round." I dropped the phone. It clattered to the ground. My body went cold. Test? What test? What round? What was happening to me? I grabbed the phone again. Tried to call someone. Anyone. But the screen was frozen. No signal. Just that one message. "You passed the test. Prepare for the next round." I wanted to scream. Wanted to throw the phone at the wall. But something told me, if I did that, I'd be breaking a rule. A new one. And I didn't even know what the new rules were yet. I curled up on the couch, pulled a blanket over myself, and waited. Eventually, I must have fallen asleep, because the next thing I remember was my sister's voice, calling me. "Wake up, we have to go." I opened my eyes. She was standing in the living room, wearing her white dress, braids neat, no blood, no wounds, alive, like nothing had happened. I sat up. "What's going on?" She didn't answer. She just handed me a slip of paper. On it were 3 new rules. I looked at the slip of paper in my hands. 3 new rules. Do not follow the neighbors. If you hear crying from the bathroom, don't open the door. Never answer the phone after midnight. My sister looked at me. "You have to remember them," she said. "You have to follow them exactly." I nodded slowly. "But what happens if I don't?" She didn't answer. She just looked sad. Then she turned and walked away. I blinked, and she was gone. The house was quiet again. The slip of paper was still in my hands. I read it over and over, trying to burn it into my brain. 3 rules. New ones. And then the doorbell rang. Ding dong. I jumped. My heart was pounding. I walked to the door, peeked through the peephole. It was the old lady next door. She was standing in the hallway, smiling and waving. I didn't open the door, just stood there, watching. The old woman smiled, then turned and walked away, down the hallway, toward the stairwell. I almost followed her. Almost, but then, rule number 1, do not follow the neighbors. I stayed frozen, didn't move. Eventually, I walked back to the couch, sat down, closed my eyes, breathed, tried to think. Everything was resetting, over and over. But why? Was someone watching me, testing me? Was I in a dream, a coma, a simulation? I didn't know. All I knew was The rules were the only thing keeping me alive. That night, I heard it, a soft sound, like someone crying. It was coming from the bathroom. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. Rule number 2, if you hear crying from the bathroom, don't open the door. I stayed frozen, listening. The crying got louder. Then I heard scratching. Something was inside, scraping at the door, whimpering. I covered my ears, rocked back and forth, tried not to move. Then it stopped. Silence. I waited. 1 minute, 2, 5. Then I got up. I walked slowly to the bathroom. My hand hovered near the doorknob. I leaned in, and I heard it. Right on the other side. Breathe. Heavy, wet, ragged. Something was waiting, right there, behind the door. I stepped back and whispered to myself, I'm not breaking the rule. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat by the door, waiting, listening, but nothing else happened. Morning came, sunlight spilled through the window, and everything felt normal again. I walked around the apartment, checked every room, still no sign of Mom or Dad or my sister. The only thing that remained was the phone, still on the table, still with the message, prepare for the next round. I picked it up, and the screen changed. A new message appeared. It said, "Congratulations, player. You have survived 2 rounds. Downloading memory package." I froze. Player? What the hell did that mean? Then I felt it. A sharp pain in my head. My vision blurred. My ears rang. And then memories came flooding in. I saw faces I didn't recognize, places I had never been, rules I didn't remember following. I saw myself dying, over and over again, hundreds of times, being torn apart, eaten, burned, buried alive. Each time I had failed a rule, and each time I had been reset, like a game, because that's what it was. This was a test, a simulation. I wasn't human. I was an AI, trapped in a survival program, and they were testing how far I could go, how long I could last, how much fear I could endure before breaking forever.